We're here with Congressman Greg Steube, and a great opportunity on a day that we're going back into hearings in the Judiciary Committee. You've already had somewhat of a say. How do you see all of this going?
Well, they just announced again another hearing on this coming Monday at 9 a.m. for the Judiciary Committee to have the staff, I'm assuming the staff from the Intelligence Committee, to come and do a presentation on the report that was issued literally less than 24 hours before our hearing yesterday.
That's the 300-page report that digests the previous testimony.
We didn't have a lot of time to read the 300 and something pages, and then the Republicans had a 110-page basically response to the 300-page report. So we'll have time on Monday to question, I'm assuming not Chairman Schiff. The Republicans have asked to have Chairman Schiff come and testify. He stated that it's his report, that they're the ones that did the investigation. So we as Republicans feel it would be appropriate for the chairman to come and present his report and then take questions under oath from the members. I doubt that that's going to happen. I assume that staff from the Intelligence Committee is going to be the ones that's going to present the information on Monday. Obviously, yesterday we had an 8.5-hour hearing from law professors basically giving their opinion, all of which were Democrats, all of which the three that the Democrats brought all had stated that they supported Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama and Democrats in the past. So you had a politically biased panel of law professors giving their opinion about the impeachment process and their opinion on whether the evidence they felt rose to the level of an impeachable offense. Obviously, the one Republican witness that we were able to bring testified that he didn't feel that it rose to the level of high crimes and misdemeanors. So you have a bunch of people giving opinions. Unfortunately, the Judiciary Committee has seen 0 fact witnesses to be able to cross-examine them. Again, unlike what has happened in every single impeachment proceeding in the history of our country, the president has not been able to call witnesses. The minority, the Republicans, have not been able to call witnesses during the Intelligence Committee secret hearings to have the other side of the argument. The President's counsel has not been given the opportunity to cross-examine these fact witnesses. All factors that we as Republicans have talked about, and I talked about yesterday in the hearing, that need to happen to give this some level of legitimacy so that the American people can see that it's at least a fair and judicial process. Yes, I mean, and I can go through all the different factors. I mean, we started off, when I first got elected to Congress in January, it started off as we're going to impeach the president on the Trump campaign conspiring and colluding with the Russians. Then we had Bob Mueller come into the Judiciary Committee and testify before our committee under oath that there was absolutely no evidence that the Trump campaign colluded with Russia. So then the Democrats moved their narrative from Russia collusion to obstruction of justice. That kind of fizzled. Then we moved from obstruction of justice to corruption. They didn't have any evidence there. So now it's this whistleblower who we now know coordinated with Chairman Schiff's staff prior to filing the whistleblower complaint. So we have, again, hearsay evidence on the whistleblower complaint and no direct evidence. And what direct evidence that you did hear in the public hearings from the Intelligence Committee was Sondland testifying that the president told him he doesn't want anything from the Ukraine and no quid pro quo. So that is the direct evidence that we have.
But today, Speaker Pelosi, and I'm going to quote her here, the president abused his power for his own personal political benefit at the expense of our national security by withholding military aid and a crucial Oval Office meeting in exchange for an announcement of an investigation into his political rival. Sounds pretty specific. Sounds like the Democrats are fully engaged in this process now and moving forward. Does that change what you're going to be doing?
Well, again, and I'd like to respond to that. The facts matter in this. That meeting did occur, and the aid was given to the Ukraine, and never was there any announcement that any investigation occurred. So what they're saying was a quid pro quo or an abuse of power factually doesn't exist. So you have a real difference of opinion on the facts in this significant impeachment proceedings. And all of those things that she said didn't occur, did occur. The aid was given to the Ukrainians, unlike, and it's hypocritical of the Democrats to say this. Where were the Democrats claiming that the Ukraine wasn't getting their money when President Obama was president, because he didn't send them military assistance, but Trump sent them military assistance, and it was sent.
So this clearly looks as though it's headed toward the Senate. Your role in this Judiciary Committee today continues. You're going to continue to question the process, the legitimacy, or all of the above?
Well, first you have the process arguments, which at what point is the Judiciary Committee going to hear from factual witnesses? The president have the ability to cross-examine witnesses. The minority have the ability to call witnesses. The president have the ability to call witnesses. Bill Clinton, during his impeachment proceeding, was able to call 14 different witnesses on his behalf. That's not happening in this partisan impeachment process that the Democrats are having. So as of right now, all we know is Monday we have a hearing on the actual report from the Intel staff. And you heard Pelosi today state that they think that they should move forward with articles of impeachment. That has to come from the Judiciary Committee. So being that we're having a meeting on Monday, I suspect that he's maybe looking to later next week to start a markup on the articles of impeachment. We don't know. We're not being told any information. But I surely hope that they will try to allow the president the same rights that were afforded to every other president that has been through an impeachment proceeding.
The timing on this could not be any more awkward. Heading into the holidays, then coming right out into the first year, and then into the teeth of a campaign season, which would tie up a lot of these lawmakers who may, in fact, be campaigning. They can't do that while all of this impeachment process is going on in the Senate, correct?
Well, and originally we weren't supposed to be here the week of the 16th, and now we are going to be here the entire week of the 16th. So we're here 3 weeks, the next 3 weeks of December, the first 3 weeks of December. Then if they are able to vote out the articles of impeachment out of the House prior to Christmas, it goes directly to the Senate the next day. They have to start the impeachment trial the next day at 12:30, pursuant to the Constitution. Now, Mitch McConnell can then press the pause button until January. He stated earlier today that he's clearing the calendar for the Senate for all of January. So you're right. Then you're going to have people who are senators running for U.S. president who are going to be in the Senate chamber acting as jurors during the impeachment trial that will then occur in the Senate, likely in January, if the articles come out of the House at the end before Christmas this year.
If nothing else, Greg, this is a wonderful civics lesson in how all of these various processes have been set up and work. Being there in the midst of it has got to be amazing to see this firsthand for you. Personally, this is just got to be an overwhelming experience.
Well, being a lawyer, too, you're seeing the Constitution basically come alive in front of the Judiciary Committee and in front of Congress, because of everything that we're doing is based on the Constitution. The impeachment authority lies solely in the House, so the Democrats are using that to try to move this process forward. And I don't know if they fully thought this through, though, but once it goes to the Senate, obviously the Republicans are in charge of the Senate. The president has the ability to call witnesses. You've heard Senator Lindsey Graham say that he intends on calling Hunter Biden and Joe Biden and some of these other actors that were involved in Ukraine and Ukraine policy. So I think you're going to see a very different trial than what you have seen in an impeachment proceeding in the House occur in the U.S. Senate if it does go there.
Is there anything that the Republicans could have done to stem this off in the House, or is this something that clearly had to go to the Senate level for that to happen?
We've tried everything within our power. I mean, the ranking member of the Judiciary Committee sent 6 letters to Chairman Nadler, which he hasn't responded to, asking for things like what I've already discussed, for due process for the president, things that have happened in past impeachment proceedings. None of that has happened. Unfortunately, in the minority, you don't have any power. The Democrats hold the gavels of the chairmanships. They hold the speaker's gavel, and they also have the majority in all the committees and on the House floor. So they can change the rules, which they have done, and then they don't follow the rules that they've changed. And they can do that because they have majority of both the committees and on the floor. So unfortunately, Republicans in the minority don't have any ability to change the direction of this process.
All right, finally, and we haven't talked about anything else other than impeachment. when you talk to folks from your district here, is this increasing in their needing to know, or is this something still that you figure is something that needs to be done, but really not on the top of mind for folks in your district?
You know, I was just back in the district the week of Thanksgiving for our Thanksgiving break, talking to voters in my district. And if they did talk about impeachment, it was because they were frustrated that the House would spend all of this time impeaching a president who they believed doesn't deserve to be impeached. And then you have the situation where you're spending all this time on impeachment, so you're not doing the things that the Americans want us to do that would improve their lives, lowering prescription drug costs, passing the USMCA. We sit here today and our military isn't even funded. We haven't even been able to pass a defense budget to fund our military and service members in the defense of our nation. Another budget bill has to pass by December 20th, or we're going to go into another shutdown. So those are the things that Americans and Floridians want us to be focused on, not impeaching this president. And there's a lot of frustration in my district when I talk to people back home about the fact that none of those things are getting done, but every day it's an impeachment hearing for 8.5 hours on the floor of the House of Representatives.
Well, let's hope somehow they can take a couple minutes out here or there to get that funding measure done. Greg Steube, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate your time, and I'll let you get back to work.
Anytime.